Good morning, Yvonne. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Buy the Book workshop, how to market your book. I really appreciate your time and expertise in this area. So without further delay, I'd like to hand it over to you just to introduce yourself and who you are. Thanks, Yvonne.
Thank you. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks for having me on this as well. It's great. It's great to share what we all do. So my background is in journalism, and I also teach creative writing classes as well. And I do content creation for busy SMEs and, all their websites and blog posts, articles. So I do a lot of content creation. And in particular, this last year, it's been very busy because everyone's had to pivot online. So it's been extremely busy. So I write articles, everything. I also, I've had stuff published. I like to write the human interest side stories, and I've had articles published in The Independent on my mother's Alzheimer's as well, because I like to, my whole genre is about finding out about the human interest side to people. So I developed a writing piece, a profile piece, and I wanted to interview people in business, but find out more about them and not their brand, because everyone concentrates on the brand. But what about the person? What about Rachel? What about Yvonne? Who is that person? So it was called Talk, Learn, Connect, TLC. And I wanted it to be a soft version of interviewing, which is why I needed that TLC acronym. And I loved that. So that went really well. And I interviewed 30 people on that and found out a lot of information. And then from that kept me busy all year while working on website development with SMEs as well. And after Christmas, then I developed my own video cast, they call it, like a podcast, because I felt I kind of hit a wall myself with the pandemic, and I wanted to find out if people were staying positive. So I decided to set up Once Upon a Pandemic, and it was asking people if they were staying positive during the lockdowns and what were they getting, what was motivating them, because that was important to find out what other people were doing to motivate themselves. That went really well, and that was a video. So it was showcasing. I got feedback and people wanted to see who I was and what I was about. So I kind of did it. It was out of my comfort zone a little bit, because writers like to hide behind the laptop, as you well know, Rachel. Mm-hmm. So I kind of pushed myself out there, and it worked really well. So people got to know me, and they like to know who you are. And we'll talk about this further on in the workshop today. So that's a little bit about me. And last year I had mentorship with two other people, Wendy and Alan. And we outsourced a lot of work, and we helped each other. And that developed into a partnership, which has happened about a month, 5 weeks ago. So we offer a lot more than one service. So there's 3 people, 3 heads, 3 expertise in one Compass Media website. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well today. So that partnership is going really well. We've had loads of inquiries. So that's me in a nutshell. And I also do my own independent freelance work, writing articles for magazines, newspapers, websites, whatever. So it's very busy, and 3 kids as well. So I'm definitely very busy, that's for sure.
Very good. So would you say then, Yvonne, your specialty then is really, so with the background in journalism, your speciality, I suppose, especially with helping writers market themselves, is in the content that they produce, and maybe in terms of sharing their story and who they are. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so I found over the years doing journalism and writing, I wasn't a news reporter. I was more interested in the human interest side to journalism. So that was finding out stories about people, sharing the stories. So that's kind of been my niche. And I feel with writers, we need to show a little bit about ourselves. So the Talk, Learn, Connect does that. It's a profile on the writer, not necessarily the book. So I think we need to remember that as well when we're trying to sell our books or sell what we're trying to sell. You have to show a little bit about yourself. So my whole thing, my genre would be the human side to it, the storytelling. That's what I love to do in the journalism sphere. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about then the fact that you have worked with some self-published authors with the Talk, Learn, Connect in terms of showcasing them as you know, you showcase the book, but you also showcase them. So maybe how do you do that with
so Talk, Learn, Connect? Yeah, with the author in particular, of course. Yeah. So I think Paddy Osborne was one of my guests, and so is Sean Kelly, and they're part of your group. So they're the two people I've worked with. I've done a bit of ghostwriting as well. So you don't actually say who the author is or whatever, you just help them. And I won't go into that too much because I don't want to talk, well, I don't want to mention who they are. But the Sean Kelly was great. So he had no profile whatsoever anywhere. So we had to set up a whole new persona for Sean. Paddy was already doing it, and he's great at marketing. He's got the knack, and he knows where to target with his book. And you've got to find your audience. You've got to find out who the people are that what will read your book. So that's really Talk, Learn, Connect kind of stemmed from there. And there was lots of business owners on the TLC, but Paddy and Sean were the writers on it. I can't think who else was on it, but they're all up on my website if people want to read them. I just do 5 questions on that, and I target them. And if they want a particular question to be asked, I will do a question around that so that they can give the information to me, and I put it all together in a lovely format, and you get the link, and I have it on my website, and you can share that everywhere. So if you've got correspondence going off to writers or publishers, you can add your link in. This is a little bit about me, because they will ask. So here's a link to an interview I did about me and about my book. So it showcases a little bit about them. So it's a handy little thing to have about your profile on you, because this is something that we forget to do, is to share a story about ourselves and how we started and why.
No, absolutely. No, I've had a look at both Sean and Paddy's, and it's very good. And you obviously are helping them with the content of that as well. So it's not just coming up with the questions, but you're also helping them with the content. So if we went then, I suppose, from that, you also then help, which is very important, to help authors then create that social, media presence. So you might, if I was to come to you today and we've done the Talk, Learn, Connect, we've showcased a bit about me, we've done the questions, I have that now to share with others. How would you help me then get online and get some followers and, maybe have some content for my social media accounts?
Which is huge. I mean, these are the questions. We'll go through them now, will we? So the marketing in a box is what we developed in Compass Media. So the 3 of us kind of brainstormed and said, like, what do people need? We're all in different areas of business. I love the book side and the writing side. That's my kind of niche. They do other stuff. So we decided, instead of everyone going like, I need a logo, I need a website, I need social media training, well, let's bring it all to one place. And that's what Compass Media did. So we designed the marketing in a box. It's a tailor-made marketing solution. And you just go in, literally look through the services tab on the site, and there's a questionnaire, a little tick the box. So it depends on what you're looking for. Not everyone is looking for the same things. You might need like photography done. You might need setting up a website, networking opportunities, connections with people, branding, coaching. So you take what you need, and then we'll come back to you then and give you a proposal of prices and what we can do for you. It's brilliant. So you don't have to go off here, there, and everywhere looking for things, because social media is just one area of marketing. There's so much more, and it's all about who you connect with as well. And I think with social media, it can be very overwhelming as well, and time consuming. Yourself, it's nonstop, and you have to keep reading people's comments and adding links and keeping up with the times. And I think most areas in publish can be very expensive as well. It's expensive going through a publishing agent. It's expensive doing it on your own. I mean, I know you've done it quite cheaply, and really you've done it really well on Amazon, but Amazon is very temperamental as well, isn't it, Rachel? I think it is anyway. It can be very temperamental. But basically with the market,
depending on any day, it can well, obviously you can have your book in stock or not in stock, and the prices can fluctuate. So I suppose what I am trying to do longer term is find the balance, because there's good with Amazon, and but then there's good with being independent too and taking things into your own hands.
Taking control of your own marketing, exactly.
But I find it particularly hard. I didn't find Amazon as a place to market, because there's so many products up there. I mean, how do you compete at that level? And I liked the idea of anyway kind of looking at Ireland and, you know, pushing our marketing in Ireland with our readers and establishing a presence here first, as opposed to trying to compete with millions of others. On somewhere like Amazon.
Yeah.
But if we were to go back, Yvonne, just on the social media things, because I know that's a huge, I suppose, area for authors in terms of, you know, what platforms to use, what kind of content is interesting and maybe a bit different to use, and then how do you increase your followers on social media. So maybe we can just talk a little bit about that.
Sure. I think the platforms on social media, now it's tricky because there's so many, and like there's new ones coming up every time. TikTok and all is another one. I haven't got my head around that yet. It takes time for all of them. But for writers, I feel Twitter and Facebook, Instagram are the ones to be on for writers, definitely. The Instagram is great for sharing your video content, not necessarily for writing or for links, because you need thousands of followers before you can add a link into your Instagram page. So you've only really got the story section to share your video content, but that gives you a platform to do extracts from your books, you know, or tell people a little bit about yourself. And Marion Keyes did it earlier on in the pandemic. She did an actual writing course on her stories. It was brilliant. And she chatted, and it lets you interact with your readers and your audience. That's how you build. That's how you build up your audience on Instagram. They've all got good uses, and it's also a great opportunity to get in front of people that may not know who you are or about your book as well. So Instagram is good for that, for video content, not necessarily for links. This is my own personal thing. People will find Instagram, they love it. I mean, it just depends what you like. You have to find the one that you like, and then you master it. That's the thing, you have to do it. And Facebook is brilliant. I do like, they all have their different uses, I think. But Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I think particularly work well with writers.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that's good advice. And would you recommend LinkedIn at all as a platform?
I do. I love LinkedIn. I love it. I know it's not for everyone. I know I didn't mention LinkedIn there. I think LinkedIn is like your business Facebook page, you know, so if I've found it fantastic for connecting, for networking, for finding business groups that could be global, for finding podcasts to be a guest on, or you to be, you know, you to have guests on yours. It's great for connecting, for sure. It does take time to build up. It's taken me a while, a good couple of years to build up the connections and networking. But if you stick with it, you will. But it's another platform. So if you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram, and then you've got LinkedIn. It's a lot, isn't it? So maybe just pick 2 platforms and stick with 2, I think, to start with and then build. But I do recommend LinkedIn for sure. I love it. I think it's been really good for me.
Okay. And then I suppose just the last thing then is, do you have any tips then in terms of any tips or tricks to increase your followers? So once you're on those platforms then.
Yeah. And also as well, can I just say, I always feel the best platform you can have is a website.
Okay.
I think because you have to remember Twitter, Facebook, they can all be shut down in the morning and they're only rented space. So what happens to your content then? And where do you have to start off again? So there is always that thing, or they can be hacked, your account can be hacked. When you have a website, you own that website. That is yours. And I think that is really important. I think a lot of writers have, just some people have missed that they don't see the benefits of having a website. For me, the biggest thing that I could say today is get your website done, because you can put everything on that. That's like your canvas. So you can get all your media, all your interviews, all the things you've done, your videos, your About You page, and that's where you direct people. Because what if Facebook closed down tomorrow? Everything's gone. So I think we rely on social media platforms a little bit too much.
Okay.
So we just have to be careful with that one as well, because it's happened to a lot of people. They've thousands of followers and all of a sudden their account is hacked and they're gone. Exactly. They've disappeared. It's happened to a few friends of mine. So website is vitally important, and you use your social media to direct them there, you know, instead of the other way around. So that's important to say as well. Look, there's a quote in business, and it's know, like, and trust. It's a phrase that's used a lot. And I think people need to get to know you first. They need to like you, and then they'll buy. They'll trust you, and then they'll buy. I see a lot on social media that it's all about sell, your book's up there, buy this is where my book is. But they're not seeing who that person is, who the author is. And I think, don't sell. Show people who you are. I think they'll buy off you a face more so than a link to Amazon. And I think you have to be careful with that as well. And the whole idea of social media is about being social. Interact with people, interact with your audience, connect with them, like their comments, comment back. That's how you build your audience on social media. Be social.
Okay, that's good advice. Thanks, Yvonne. We'll move on. Just a few questions came in around the actual traditional media side of things as an author. So obviously that's very important, not just to be on social media, but also to be in the traditional media, whether that's, you know, local newspapers, national newspapers, radio stations. What advice would you give in terms of pitching you and your book to get
coverage? I know. I suppose you have to get seen online. So social media. Okay. Be social, as I said there. Put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to shout out about what you've done either. Don't be shy. Tell people what you've done. You know, a book takes a long time to write. Shout out and say you're so proud of it. Tell people that you've done it. And if you have more, you're doing more. Don't be shy. Just tell people. And I think add value to conversations. And be kind, always be kind on social media. Be yourself and show your personality, and people will remember you. You know, they'll see you there and they'll go, God, she could be a good guest on a podcast, or she'd be great to be interviewed. So you have to get a presence online. That's huge. And I think you never know who's at events, even your workshops, writing groups. You never know who's there. If you're at Zoom webinars, you know, follow up with people that have been on it as well after. Say, hi, we were at the same Zoom event. This is my contact details. Would you like to do a catch-up call or something? You never know who you're talking to. You never know who's beside you. I've learned that big time. You never know who's there. But follow up. It shows your personality, that you're interested in what they're doing, and then, you know, it'll flow from there once you do it properly. You know, it does take time to build up your visibility and awareness. It does, but you will in time. So social media, you know, and don't be afraid to contact Ryan Tubridy. Don't be scared. He loves authors, and he'd be delighted. Lots of people I got on there myself, and I wasn't talking about books. He's interested. If you write a good email to these people on radio, if you write something catchy that catches their eye, the researchers would catch it and they'll go, this person's interesting. Ryan would love her or him or whatever. So write a good email, you know, something catchy. Don't just do a mundane one. I'm a writer, I'm this. Think about it. You know, you're a writer, so write something that will catch their eye. And don't be afraid, you know. There's so many, and there's not just Ryan Tubridy's brilliant to get on that, but there's lots of local ones. You know, there's always people looking for guests. So don't be afraid. Always ask.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. No, I agree. I mean, you have to be a little bit creative in terms of getting pushing the doors open. And you have to realize that they do see so many of these emails every day.
Exactly.
And you know, the ones that stand out are the ones they'll probably follow up with. So is that something then you can help authors with in terms of writing that email?
Absolutely. For sure I could do that. Absolutely. And then you can even send that around to a few different people. And just change the name. If people need help with that, we can help with that. Anything, any kind of content, your posts on social media. And we also offer training on social media with Compass Media too. If you're not familiar with Facebook and you want to learn, not everyone's great at all the platforms. We offer training in LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter. You can do it like a couple of hours with Alan. He does training and you learn the basics of it, which is important. You can't just go into LinkedIn and go, like, where do I start? You start with your profile page, your About Me page, and make that catchy as well. I've seen so many profiles and they're just like a CV where people don't want to read your whole life story. They want to read little snippets of what you've done, you know? So we definitely help with all that and the training as well on Compass Media, which is brilliant.
That's great. Brilliant. Thanks, Yvonne. So just before we move on then, I don't know if you've any last points on either social media or traditional media that you wanted to share?
I think the power of social media, it'll give you the opportunity to promote yourself. And remember, researchers are always looking out for new guests, for podcasts. There's podcasts everywhere, especially since the pandemic. Everyone has set up podcasts and video series. So they're always looking for new people. So if you're on social media and you're there, you're consistent with your content or your videos, you'll get noticed. And then they'll be contacting you. And also Twitter is great for looking for, if you use the hashtags. Hashtags are so important to use. People don't use them enough. Hashtags have their own followers, you know, especially on LinkedIn. If you put in a hashtag of even like writing community or LinkedIn learning, you'd be surprised how many thousands of followers are on a hashtag. They're not used enough as well. So writers, use your hashtags. You know, even put in hashtag authors, hashtag writing. Different platforms have more followers. LinkedIn is good with the hashtags. They're all, with Twitter, Instagram, you use your hashtags as well. So hashtags are big to use when you're doing a post, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's something I need to learn now myself. Broaden. At the moment, I'm only using 2. So
yeah. Oh God, I mean, on Instagram you can have about 30. You know, people use loads of them, and I think because they'll connect with somebody else, and then they'll connect. It's all about connecting and networking, and you don't know who's after seeing your post, and then you get all these lovely messages. Lovely to be a guest or whatever, you know, and just you need to put yourself out there. You need to really and be consistent with content. Don't disappear for a while. You can schedule your posts on scheduling tools, and we can help with that as well, showing you how to do that too. That's great for time, you know, for using the time wisely.
That's good. Yeah. And I suppose the other thing as well is that when you have an interview or two behind you, that you know you share that interview when you're looking for more interviews, and you can send that out. So you're kind of
tag the person who interviewed you. Tag them, tag somebody else. They'll tag it on there. They'll share it on their platforms, and that's how you do it. You share, tag everything. That's what you have to do with your interview, and use your links. Use your links all the time. Even after 2-3 months, put it up again. Use your profile piece. If you do a TLC, put that up again, you know, and just remind people of you and what you do and your passion.
Great. So we had another question in around promoting your book or yourself outside Ireland.
Oh,
how do you have any tips on that for us?
So and the biggest one I can give here is to have the website, so you can direct people there. And I know we've spoke about that, and I can't say it enough. So that's really, think about that when you're thinking about what I need to do to promote me and my book. The tips on marketing, again, you've got to connect with where you want your book to be seen. Is it America? Is it Europe? So do you target the groups on Facebook? There's Irish American groups. There's loads of groups. I mean, Facebook, there's millions of them. Twitter is great for connecting with people outside Ireland. You have to know think about who you want to connect with. Is there particular people? Is there particular groups? And go for it. Just send them a message, send them a link, connect with them. I think, you know, a lot the influencers on social media are huge as well. They could be looking for people. If you get people to mention your book, or, you know, share a little video of what your book's about, and even offer to do a review for them, another author, and can they do the same for you? So you can do this swapping thing. So search for topics and podcasts on books, and then, you know, you could have history, football, comedy, and connect with the hosts of them and ask them, are they looking for guests? And just be persistent, you know, but definitely influencers and podcasters, just approach them, American ones. And with 3 of us on Compass Media, have lots of connections overseas and in America. So we can help with that as well, in introducing you to another audience. It's all about connecting. It's using your connections to connect with somebody else. So definitely we can help with that. If you don't know where to start. It's difficult. It's like a spider web, isn't it? Like there's all different areas and all different people, but there is usually people that you want to connect with and that you admire. So, I mean, if they're American, send them a message. I mean, last year I interviewed Nellie Olson from Little House on the Prairie, and I saw her at an event, and I said, I'd love to chat to her. And I went through her the guy who does her stuff for her, and I got her and I interviewed her, and she did the written TLC as well, and she did a little meet and greet for 15 minutes. I was dumbfounded, you know. I was really starstruck. So people are approachable. Don't think they're not, and they're all at home. They're all on the internet. they'd probably be delighted to hear from you in an email, you know. Go for it.
Ask.
Ask. And all they can say is no, but you
Yeah.
know, just do it and go for the ones you want to talk to.
And I've found even if they say no, they might direct you as well into someone that might say yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So you are building that network, or you know, your connections.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're learning as well, because you know, if you've asked 5 or 10 and they've all said no, maybe you need to go at it a different angle.
Yeah.
So you could just take that and maybe repitch.
You learn.
You know how you're asking. So no, that's good advice. So in terms of then, another question that came in is around reviews. So you touched on that a little bit there. How important are book reviews for marketing yourself and your book? And how would you go about getting those reviews up?
Yeah, that's a huge one, isn't it? You know, book reviews, I know, but you don't want to be inundating people and annoying them and asking them and all the time. But I think book reviews give you better visibility. And if people see loads of reviews on your book, they're going to go towards that, aren't they, to buy that book more so than a book that hasn't. But I know if you feel like you're always asking for reviews or testimonials, it feels like you're annoying people, but you're not really. I mean, people tend to go towards the book with more reviews for sure. And remember, like, you can share book reviews online and always tag the reviewer and always put the hashtags in, especially, and they'll have, you know, the hashtags as well is important there. You can share them and ask them, can you swap? I think you've done that as well. Ask people in your group, you know, I'll do a review for you, you do one for me. So they are very important, definitely. So if you can get as many reviews as you can, the better, you know, but without annoying people too much. You can ask and ask and ask and they won't. But there are, you know, there's other places where Upwork, I think, review your book for you. I have a few names of places here. Upwork is a good one for book review requests. You can do that. You can ask people on that and get that done on their site. There's lots of sites. There's book clubs. What about your local book clubs? Send in a couple of your books there and ask them to review it for you, you know, and send the reviews back. They'd be delighted. And then you're getting reviews back as well, you know. So you can develop your own podcast, you know, you can develop YouTube channels. There's lots of different ways to promote you, and not just concentrating on just doing the reviews. But obviously, yeah, you do need a few reviews for sure. But if you're in loads of book clubs, ask them to do it. Ask them to do it. They don't mind.
That's good advice. Yeah, well, I did one last week just as a trial, just to see what happens, where we've offered people on Instagram the book for free, up to a certain number, to see are they interested in having the book, and then in exchange that they would do a review. And the other thing that's come up from authors is to put a page into your book where you're asking, you know, if you enjoy the book, to leave a review. So, you know, I suppose we're learning all the time. I missed all of that at the start of my book, and now I'm kind of trying to get a bit of, you know, momentum with reviews, but it can be difficult, and you do feel like you don't want to over ask either. So I agree with that. Is there anything else, Yvonne, you would share with us today, either from a marketing side or a social media side, just in terms of helping authors with their followers or with their sales or with their network?
Yeah, you know, there's lots there we've talked about today. So I suppose everything is there. Social media, be social, connect with people, interact. You know, there's nothing as nice as getting a comment back from the likes of Marion Keyes or Cecilia Hearn. They liked your comment. You have to interact. You have to be consistent with your content. You know, get them to know you and like you. Social media, definitely. Website, you have to have a website. I think you need a website. Just make sure and keep in touch with your audience, you know, interact with them, and don't be sell all the time. Yes, people know you're an author. You've had a book published. Show them a little bit about you. Show them the human side to the author, and don't be just pushing the book all the time. You can do that later. Build up your profile first, a nice profile, and people will get to know you first, and then they will buy from you for sure.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And then how do we find out more then, either about you or Compass Media?
You know, and I work independently myself. So, I mean, I've found on all the social media handles, But my email for Compass Media is yvonne@compassmedia.ie, and Compass Media is www.compassmedia.ie, and all our services are there. The marketing in a box is there, and the training that we provide also. But make sure and connect with me on all the social handles, the people that are listening to this. But LinkedIn would be my preferred choice, and you can DM me there and come in. Yeah, just come, send me a message, connect, and we can have a chat. Love to talk to you and see where you're struggling or what you need help with, for sure. I'd be happy to talk.
Brilliant. Yvonne, it's been an absolute pleasure today. I think you've shared so much good information with us. Really helpful. I know from looking at the work you've done, it's been brilliant. I've heard some brilliant things about you as well from the authors.
Thank you.
I know that you've, quite a varied skill set as well. Like, and that you're very good in terms of, you listen to what people need, and you offer them you offer them a product on what they need, as opposed to you just trying to sell them.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about. I'm not going to sell either.
Yeah.
And I'm a writer, and I know what it's like and what the struggles are, and where it takes ages and time to build your social media profile. But if you stick with it, it's worth it. It'll be worth it in the end. You just stick with it.
Yeah.
Like writing, just stick with it. You have to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. No, this has been brilliant today, and I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
And I will share your details among the group as well.
Great.
And people will be able to watch the video online, which would be fantastic.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Yeah.
We'll say goodbye, and we'll stay in touch.
Yeah. Thanks, Rachel. Take care.
Thanks, Yvonne. Lovely to talk to you.